All right, testing, testing. Okay, we're recording. Part 1, 1150. Certificate of Construction Acquire Operated Railroad Line, Subpart A, Application under Title 49, U.S. Standard Code 1091. 1151, Introduction. 1152, Overview. 1153, Information about applicants. 1154, Information about the proposal. 1155, Operational data. 1156, Financial information. 1157, Environmental energy data. 1158, and additional support. 1159, notice. 115010, procedures. Subpart B, designated operators. 115011, introduction. 115012, information was designated with the operator. 115013, relevant dates. 115014, proposed services. 111515, for information about offer. 115016, procedures. Subpart C, modified certificate, public conveyancing and necessities. 115021, scope of rules. 115022, exemption of common carrier status. 115023, modified certificate of public conveyancing and necessity. 115024, termination of service. Subpart D, exempt transaction under Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 1091. 115031, scope of exemption. 115032, procedure relevant to data transcription involving creation Class 3 carriers. 115033, information contained with the notice of transaction involving creation of Class 3 carriers. 115034, caption summary transaction involving creation of Class 3 carriers. 115035, procedures relevant to data transaction involving the creation of Class 1 or Class 2 carriers. 115036, exemption construction connecting track. Subpart E, exempt transaction, Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 1092 for Class 3 rail carriers. 115041, scope of exemption. 115042, procedure relevant to data for small line acquisition. 115043, information contained with the notice for small line acquisitions. 115044, caption summary. 115045, procedure relevant to today's transaction under 1092 for involving creation Class 1, Class 2 rail carriers. All right, starting with Subpart A, applications under Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 1091, introduction, and we'll move in a little bit farther. When application is required by the subpart governing the application under Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 1091, certificate of public conveyancing, necessity of authorization, construction, acquisition, operation, railroad lines, no carriers require board approval under Section 1091. Construction acquire operated with the rail line interstate commerce. Existing carriers require approval under the 1091 only to construct the new rail line. Operator line owned by the non-carrier since acquisition by a carrier. Active rail line owned by a carrier is covered in Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 1132.3. Have exempted the requirements of the acquisition state entity with the rail line that has been approved for the abandonment as well as the operation of these lines. Subpart C is part in addition with the appropriate. We have granted individual exemption certification requirements to see Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 1052. Content of application. Application filed within the subpart should include the information set forth in 1152 and 1159. Application must comply with the Energy Environmental Regulation, Title 49 CFR with 1106, 1105, including consulting the Board Office of Environmental Analysis at least 6 months prior to filing an application to begin with the scope and the process to identify the environmental issues, outline procedure for analysis of the aspect of the proposal. 1152, overview, a brief narrative description of the proposal with the name and the address of the applicants. 1153, information about applicant with the name and the address and phone number of the representative that received the corresponding concerning the application. Facts showing that the application either the common railroad or has been organized implement with the proposal approval of being sought, with the statement indicating whether the rail line operated with the application. If not, the others which have been selected that must join the application and provide with the information required for application. If the operator has not yet been selected, state who is to be been considered. A statement indicating whether the application is affiliated with the stock ownership of the otherwise of the industry and to be served by the line. It provide with the detail of the nature, extent of the affiliation, date, place for the organization, applicable statutes, a brief description of the nature, objection for the organization. If a corporation submits a list of officers to the directors of the 10 principal stockholders, corporation, respective holding with the statement that any of these officers of the directors, major shareholders, control the regulated carriers, although the list of any corporations, individuals, groups of the control application extent of the group, whether any of the control over the other than common carriers. An Exhibit A with the resolution, stockholder directors, authorization for the authorization of the proposal of the partnership individuals submit with the name of the address, all the general partners' respective interests, whether they any of the control other carriers, if the applicant for any of the described in paragraph F and G of the section, submit with the name of the title of the business address of the principals or trustee, whether the entity with the control of the other common characters, after the application trustee receive the assigner over the personal representative of the real party interest for the detail of the appointment with the clue of the supporting document such for the court ordered authorization of employment and the following of the real property interest for the applicant existing character for the satisfied with the information requirements paragraph F through I with the section making the appropriate reference for the document number for the prior application have been filed with the previous 3 years in which the information has been submitted. 1154. Information about the proposal. The description of the proposal, significant term of the condition, including the consideration to be paid with the monetary otherwise exhibited B with the copies of all the relevant agreements. B. The detail about the amount of the traffic, give the general description with the mind. C. For the purpose of the proposal, for the example and the explanation for the why the public conveyance, even the necessity required of the permit of the proposal. D. And exhibit C with the map of the clearly delineates area with the served and origins, termini and station for the city of the counties and state of the map that should also delineate the principal highway, railroad routes, and any possible interchange points for the other than the railroads. And an alternative of the routes for the proposed for the construction of the map should be clearly indicated each route. A list of the country for the city to be served for the proposal, whether the other rail served for the rail for the names of the railroad in which the line would connect with the proposed connection point for the volume of the traffic estimate for the interchange for the description of the rental items of the agreements for the carrier for the conveying covering operation interchange of the traffic of the division rates of the trackage rights. The time of the schedule of the consumption for the completion of the proposal of the new line proposed for the construction of the approximate area to be served the line with the nature for the time and the type of the existing perspective of the industry for the agricultural, manufacturing, mining, warehousing, forestry, and the area with the general information about the age of the size of the growth potential for the projected rail use of these industries. Wherever the consideration crosses of the rail line with the name of the railroad growing the line to be crossed, the cross section will accomplish for the person for the railroads when concluding supporting agreements if the board in determination Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 1091 D1 will be sought in including such requests. 1155. Operational data. Exhibit D with the operating plan with include with the traffic projection study with the schedule of the operation, information about the crew to be used, wherever the employees will be obtained with the rolling stock of requirements, and whether there will be obtained information about the operating experience record of the proposed operator, unless it is to the operating railroad a significant change of the patterns for the service as associated with the discount tendency of the abandonments expected of the operating economies. 1156. Financial information for the manner of the applicant of the proposal of the final construction acquisition fine with the amount of the security for the issue, approximately with the terms of the sale of the toll fixture, the treasury charges, the extent of the funds of the finance now available to whether any of the securities issued with the underwritten by the industry that be served with the proposed line split by fixed changes will be met. As Exhibit E with the recent balance sheet with Exhibit F with the income statement of the latest available for the calendar year with the provider filling out the application, present value of the determination, full cost of the proposal of the construction, and pro of the cost of each of the year with the test and construction with a short narrative or by chart. A statement of projected net income for the 2 years based upon the traffic projection construction with the contemplated with the state with the representative of the 2 years following with the completion with the construction. 1157. Environmental and engineering energy data. The Exhibit H information data required and data prepared for the Title 49 Part 1105 of the revision of the National Guidelines Environmental Policy with the 1969 36th Internet Commerce Commission 653 1980 in accordance with the Implementation Energy Policy Conservation Act of 1975 Title 49 CFR Part 1106. 1158 with additional support with additional facts for the region show for the public conveyance of the necessity required for the permit approval of the application of the board may require for additional information to be filed with the appropriate. 1159 notice for the summary of the proposal will be either provided the notice of 1150.10.5 1150.10F. 1150.10 procedures. Waiver the prior to the application the respect of the application may seek for the advance waiver for either the permanent or the temporary basis require the information which is unavailable is not necessary for the usual analysis for the proposal. However, the information is clearly not applicable to the individual proposal. A waiver is not necessary. The need to be not to be sought, but the petition must specify the section for the waiver. The clarification sought for the reason should be granted, but the no replies will be permitted. Parties may be open upon appropriate showing with the demonstrator for the need to examine the data of the previously been waived in such circumstance of the board only require that they be produced 1158 above. Filing procedure for the original 10 copies of the application. All of the documents should be filed with the chief section of the administrator office for the proceeding of filing fee with the amount of the set forth in Title 49 1002-2F is required if to the filing application copies of the document shall be furnished properly interested parties upon request for the application should include the chain of self-addressed envelope to be used. Notify the applicant with the document number if it is additional as possible, but the telephonic communication with the document number shall be used. The signature original application shall be signed signed by applicants if the partnership and all general partners must sign with it. If the corporation, association, or the similar form of the organization signature should be that of the executive officer having knowledge of the man for the designated for the purpose. The application shall have the name order and oath and shall contain the appropriate certification of the corporation by its secretary showing that the affiant and duly authorized verify that the file of the applicant and any person with the control of the applicant also sign the application. Related applications. Applications shall file concurrently with the directly relay with the applications of the issue with the security with the control motor carries open with the access to terminal operations required by the package right with the all applications considered with the main application. Served with the assumed with the document with the number is obtained with the applicant shall be served with a copy of the applicant with the first class mail with the upon the governor or the executive officer of the public service department and with the Department of Transportation each day, which if any of the parties that involved in proposed transaction are located within 2 weeks of the filing, the applicant submitted with the board of the copy of the certification service indicating that all persons designated have been served with a copy of the application. Application which within 2 weeks of the filing application have published with a summary of the application prepared 11:59 with the newspaper general circulation. Each country in which the line is located notice should inform the interested party of the day with which they must be advised of the board of the interest of the proceeding. The day shall be calculated as the 35th day after the application, but it is neither a Saturday or Sunday nor legal however the district or in the District of Columbia. Applicant must be filed with the affidavit with the application publication immediately after the publication has been completed with the board as soon as practicable. Either publish a summary with the Federal Register or reject with the application if it is incomplete. Public participation. Written comments within 10 copies must be filed within 35 days of the filing. Application comments must contain the basis of the party position either in support, opposition. Applicant must be served with a copy of each of the comment with the base for the comments for the assessment of the other environmental analysis board will decide if the hearing is necessary. They will decide whether if the hearing is necessary. A hearing may either oral or through the receipt of the written statement modified with the procedure for the C Title 49, 11, 12 with the 1-10 sequence. If there's no opposition to application of additional evidence for the normally needs not to be filed, the decision will be reached for the using information for the application. Reply for the written comments application. Reply with the conservative with the board provided that they are filed with the server within 5 days due the day of the pleading of address. Subpart B, designated operators.